Hey everybody, what's going on? Eric here. And some of you guys have been asking, where have I been and what I've been up to. Well, uh, I've been up to a lot with between updating the home computers, which that one's being my father, and I picked up another one just like that for the kid as well, so I had to set them up. And then my laptop decided it wanted to take a shit, overheat, and start giving me problems with the hard drive and shit like that. And then my buddy and I finally got the server up and running. So as you can see, it's kind of a big tower. So let me explain a little bit about this stuff to you. Be right back. Alright, so what I've been doing, basically setting up computers. This one here, along with another one just like that I picked up for my father and my daughter, is a HP All-in-Wonder. And why I say All-in-Wonder, because it is a monitor and mouse and keyboard. The computer is built into the monitor. There is a DVD drive on the side over here, if I can find the fucker. There it is. And it works pretty good. It's not a super fast machine, but for what these guys are using it for, as far as like YouTube or whatever, it's not bad. Now this has got a 500 gig hard drive inside of it. It's a Windows 10 Home Edition, Intel Celeron processor. It's a J3060 at 160 gigahertz, 1.60 gigahertz, 4 gigs of RAM, 64-bit. Not a bad thing, I guess. For what I've been doing and how I've been doing things, this would not be a good computer for myself, but for surfing the web, looking at YouTube, whatever, works good. Got one for my kid, and I got one for my father. It was like, I think it was like $800 total for the two computers. Not a big deal, but the Optiplex, what was it? The Dell Optiplex 775, I think it was. They were old. I had two of those, one for the kid and one for my father, and they were getting pretty old, pretty worn out. Didn't feel like doing any upgrades to them, because I guess you can do some upgrades to them and make them a little bit better, but did not feel like it. So eventually they'll end up either power supply would take a crap on them and they'll be out of computer again. So figured them out. Well, just replaced them. And the other ones I've been working on here. Now, I finally got my server back from my buddy. Now, if you remember, that corner over there had a little black box over there, and it sounded like a little Hoover vacuum cleaner. That was my old server. And it basically, after running nonstop for 6 years, basically, only to stop it to do maintenance on it and blow out the dust and shit for just, keep the fans clean and shit. Basically, it's ran nonstop for 6 years. So this one here is my old computer tower that I had a long time ago, that I gave to my buddy, and he turned it into his server, and he ended up rebuilding a new server for him, and the motherboard did not fit this system case, so he basically gave me his old system case, which used to be mine, plus the motherboard, which is a real tiny motherboard. Now, it's a little gigabit motherboard inside of here, which is not that big of a deal. It's only got like 4 gigs of RAM inside of it. The CPU is soldered to the motherboard with a heatsink locked on top of it, and which is better than what I had on my old system. The old system was a plastic bracket that went around the CPU that was held down by springs, and they basically disintegrated because of time and fell off the CPU. So with that and having problems where there was bulging caps on the motherboard, you know what, it was gone. 6 years is long enough on that thing, and it had Windows XP on there. Yes, Windows XP. You don't really need much to run an in-home server. Okay. Now this one here is got Windows 7 Ultimate on it, and the properties of this one, Windows 7 Ultimate, it has got a Intel Atom CPU. It's a D525, 1.80 gigahertz, 4 gigs of RAM, and 64-bit operating system. not a big deal. It's the programs that make this into a server, as well as the way you connect it to your modem or your router and shit. Universal Media Center servers, Universal Media Server is what I run on this thing, and I have 4 hot swappable bays here. I have a 2 terabyte inside of here, and the main hard drive that's inside here that has the operating system and all the programs on it is a 500 gig hard drive. That is only going to be for, only 4 programs. That's it. The one that is for storage, the 2 terabyte, is only for photos, movies, music, whatever I need to back up. And basically how this is going to work is I run MadSonic and Subsonic. Subsonic is on the cell phones, MadSonic is on the computer, and what that does is I can bring up all my music on my phones, take it wherever I want to go, give people username and passwords, and they could play music or do whatever however they want, headphones or through their phone or whatever, through their computer. And it works out pretty good. What's cool about this is that I could be anywhere as long as I have an internet connection, HTTP into this thing, and bring up like photos of my kids growing up in case the grandparents want to see, if they missed a birthday party or something, they can see the photos or movies that I took of, the kid's birthday, Christmas, or whatnot. And it works out pretty damn good. So that's what I've been working on in this thing, getting this thing basically set up since I've gotten it back. And then there's this bad boy here, which was being a pain in the ass. If you remember, I was doing Hangouts and it was getting crackly, or if I was, shooting shit with people and stuff like that, I just drop out. That was because this thing was overheating and basically got the blue screen of death. So I ended up taking it apart. A buddy of mine, I'm not really into the PC stuff anymore. I used to be when XP and Vista was around. Used to build home computer systems, do maintenance on them and shit. I kind of got out of it for the past, I don't know how many fucking years. And I don't remember a lot of stuff or what to do, so I kind of have to look it up online and refresh my memory when it comes to doing some of the repairs and installing drivers and whatever. It's been a pain in the ass. But my buddy was telling me on this one here that to pick up an SSD drive. So I picked up a 500 gig SSD hard drive, which is a solid state hard drive. And I gotta say, it changed the whole way this computer operates. Now, this computer here, this laptop, it's a Dell Precision M6500. So if you know anything about these computers, they're pretty good as far as graphics, pretty decent as far as audio goes. They're not bad. It's an i7. So what we ended up doing is basically putting Windows 7 Professional on here. Now this one has a Intel Core i7 processor, which basically this thing has it's one CPU, but it looks like 8 physical CPUs on this thing. 12 gigs of RAM, and if you don't believe me, I will bring that up. So what I'm going into right now is Task Manager. There you go. These are all 8 of these is basically it's one CPU, but it looks at it as 8 separate CPUs. And I gotta say, this thing is like, the fucking computer is fast. Now, the nice thing about this thing is when you click on shit, it comes up now. Before there was a slight delay. Now it's like really quick. So the CPU is a 2.13 gigahertz, okay, and 12 gigs of RAM with a 64-bit operating system. And the nice thing about this is we ended up putting the SSD hard drive as the main hard drive of this thing, so all programs, operating system, and everything else is stored on the C drive, which is the SSD drive. My backup, so basically my server is backed up to that drive right there, which is a what do you want to call it? It's a 2 terabyte. God, I can't remember what the brand name was, but it's a 2 terabyte hard drive, and that's what I use as far as my backup goes. So the server is backed up to that and everything. Now this time around, I end up backing the server up the opposite way. I had to mirror that drive to the drive that's in the server. And then I have a 300 gig hard drive inside here that is basically for just storage and files, which works out pretty good. Now the bad thing about SSD hard drives is that it's a very long process to kill one, but it can be done. The more that you delete or install and uninstall and shit like that, it makes bad parts of the hard drive, or the chips that make up the hard drive, and it wears it out a little bit faster. But again, that could be your lifetime before that actually goes completely bad. So a lot of stuff for operating systems and programs will be saved to that drive, the SSD, and then the platter drive, regular hard drive, will have like files and stuff that photos or whatever, music, shit like that would be going to that stuff that you could use just for storage. Now, I got Gearbox back on this thing again, and I tell you, this loads up a hell of a lot faster than what it did before. Even before I started having the heat problems, this loads up very quick. I love this SSD hard drive. I wish I could swap both of them into an SSD hard drive. This thing would probably really fucking cook. But, yeah, I got the Gearbox back in here, Podfarm, so I can start doing my guitar shit again. Video camera, everything is back on the way it was. Now, I had a problem. I was doing a couple of hangouts where I was just test hangouts. So I was trying to figure out why I was having some audio problems. And come to find out that the bundle of drivers that Dell has given me for audio, it's like a game. Pick this one, let's see if it works. And that's basically what it was like. It came up with some different drivers for this machine. For the audio, and I installed the wrong one, so I had to install the right driver, and then I did another test hangout, and it wasn't fucking up or having problems, and I got back a few of the settings that I had before. So now I'm back on track again. Like I said, I'm not a computer tech anymore. I used to do this shit when XP and Vista was around, and I got out of it. So the UX2 is hooked up. This one's back up and going. Now I did order a what they call a computer cooling pad, I believe, and it's got 5 fans inside of it, and it's going to move some air with this thing, because right now it's running pretty quiet. The fan that you're hearing now is basically that machine running. It's running pretty cool. It's not heating up anymore the way it was, but I kind of want to do, when I start pushing it a little bit, it's going to heat up a little bit, and I want to keep it nice and cool. So yeah, pretty cool. That's what I've been doing. Oh yeah, I forgot.